Talking about yoga, well, right from my childhood, I was acquainted with yoga. From the age of 13, when my mother started practicing, I started practicing with her. Then there was a period, like all adolescents and young adults, when I rebelled and said I didn't want to do any yoga. And that continued for about, I would say, 20 years, till around the age of 30. I took Diksha from Swami Niranjananand of Bihar School of Yoga. At that time, my association with yoga was very, very limited. But the process of taking Diksha and starting to chant the Guru mantra that is given to you, it brought about a lot of changes. Um, at one point, I developed quite severe vertigo and then started doing yoga very sincerely, like most of us who develop an ailment and then get associated with yoga. So I was also one of them. And from 2002, I became a very ardent practitioner of yoga because I found it brought me a lot of benefits. Um, the vertigo was so strong that I used to take the maximum dose of Vertin for a long time. And when I started doing yoga within a month, I had completely stopped all those tablets. So it was almost miraculous for me. And that began really my sincere journey into yoga. So after that, wherever I worked, wherever I traveled, I always practiced yoga at least 15 minutes, 20 minutes a day. And that just got me to explore the science, understand yoga much better. And the organizations I worked with, everywhere we introduced yoga as a part of the training program there. So yoga became not just a part of my life; it became a part of life of employees where I worked, and that was a very nice journey. But then around 2015, I was so much driven by an inner voice that okay, I've done enough of corporate and I don't think I want to do anything more. 26 years in corporate, how long can you keep doing that? And I guess this whole vocation of yoga called for me very strongly. That was the point I decided I didn't want to do any more of my corporate life. People ask me very often, what made you leave? Nothing, just this strong urge to want to give back something to society and to align myself with yoga. And that's how I started my full time journey with yoga. It grew slowly. I learned a lot in the whole process. And yoga is such an ocean. You practice it for, I think, 100 years, and you still have more to learn in that. So it's an unlimited journey in the field of yoga. Yes, so I think at the 26 years that I worked in corporate, I enjoyed it very much. There was a lot of power, there was a lot of money, but there was also a lot of stress all the time. And you sort of got into a rat race and kept doing things. In the process, your physical health, health takes a toll on you. Your peace of mind takes a big toll on you. When I came into yoga, the first thing I experienced was this very natural switch. The mind just calmed down. I didn't have things to run after. I loved doing yoga and I wanted to create a whole world of yoga around me, touch the lives of a lot of people. But that urgency and, mad desire to want something for myself, that slowly just went away. And my biggest discovery is that when you don't start wanting too many things for yourself, inner contentment follows. You feel much more peaceful, and your physical ailments also recede away much better. You feel happier from within. So, those were the very big changes I saw. People asked me for many years after that, don't you miss your corporate life? Don't you regret leaving it? Because I was doing pretty well there. And my simple answer is I haven't missed it for a moment, because what I have gained in return has been far, far more than what I left, I feel. I don't know. I didn't have them actually. It's very unusual. Maybe the passion within me to follow yoga was much stronger. There was some sort of support from my husband also financially. So that was not zero, that was a big help as well. Um, when we started out on this journey, I say we because obviously you need to have a lot of support from home to leave, a steady income, which is a lot more than what you require for your daily life. So the whole family gets used to a certain level of luxury. So it's a journey that the family took along with me. And in the process, it was a discovery, because I felt that I never, in the last 10 years, ran short on money or on, something that was required, not happening because of money. My own wants also reduced quite a bit, I would say. I didn't find the need for all those luxuries that earlier I was more fond of. I could easily give away things and be contented with lesser. And that being contented with lesser also made me much happier. Yes, so I think yoga plays a very big role in mindset change. See, often we see only the very visible part of yoga, which is the asana practice and the pranayam practice. But as you start doing this, certain changes happen within you. The changes happen in your endorphin levels. When the happy hormones go up, automatically your needs for a lot of things change. Your dopamine, serotonin levels in the brain also undergo a change. The pranayam practices again, they make you much more grounded. And see, finally, every individual is running after wanting happiness. If you find that that happiness comes naturally, then you are drawn towards that which brings happiness. And yoga has great power to bring that happiness, not just through the practice of asanas and pranayams. So we follow the Bihar school of yoga, and this school teaches yoga as a lifestyle. Swami Niranjananand, and before that Swami Satyanand, who are our gurus, they inculcate this through various. They've written hundreds of books, and although I am full time into yoga for 10 years, over the past 30 years, I've been reading lots of these books. And the message always is live yoga moment to moment. When you start becoming aware of yourself, of what you are doing, your attitudes, your behaviors, all that brings about a sense of contentment as you make small incremental changes. It's difficult to suddenly make one big change, but progressively every day there can be a tiny shift in your mindset without you even knowing that. And the cumulative effect can be very rewarding. Yeah, see, yoga works at different levels. Now, when you do those different asanas, you do the breathing practices. Firstly, at a physical level, it helps you immensely, because something in our body always is not right. Either we have a pain in the body, we have some hormone not working correctly, our blood pressure is not right, our mindset is not right, there is anxiety, there may be levels of depression, loneliness. So there can be multiple issues going on in the same person. Now, the asana pranayam practice just help recalibrate all that. Having said that, I must say that many times people come to us and practice for 2, 3 months and expect great rewards from that. So, yes, yoga brings about a change, but all the change lasts only as long as you keep practicing. So, regular practice, that is a mantra for yoga. Now, as these changes keep happening, there are many other aspects of yoga you get drawn into. Meditation is one of them, which brings about heightened self awareness. And the minute you are more aware about yourself, you are much more sensitive to others. Uh, as you get sensitive to others, your social interactions, they improve tremendously. If you see, most of the time we are judging people. We are, and when I say judging, we are actually criticizing them. So mind is never happy. All the time we are thinking what is wrong with that person. Why is he doing that? She doing that? It may not even be related to us. Still, we spend time judging. Yoga allows you to become aware about that, and that whole level of judgment goes down considerably. And believe me, when you stop judging, your whole awareness about yourself increases. You start feeling happy with yourself. And when you feel happy with yourself, it's easy to feel happy with others. And others also feel happy with you
Yes.
because you can transmit that positivity, that joy around. So then it's a win win for both people. Many times people come to our classes first, maybe the wife joins, then the husband comes and joins, maybe they have a grown child, the child comes and joins. And I always feel that that household is filled with yoga in the whole process. The vibrations within the house also change considerably. So it's a long journey. What you get through practice of yoga for 15 days is different from what you get from practice of yoga for 1 year, and it is different from what you get from practice of yoga for 10 years, and similarly 20 years later. So all the time incrementally you are adding something more to your life with this practice. Yes, it has a very big role to play. Actually, in our classes also we see these young adults who come up. Now, there are various reasons why these people come. A lot of peer pressure, a lot of parental pressure. All the time they have to live up to expectations which are either set up by their peers or even within their minds. Those expectations just keep growing, then they feel they are not able to meet them. They get distracted in various directions. Energy, mental energy gets dissipated, anxiety sets in, and all that just, there is no solution. Doctor says now you do yoga because doctor is also giving medication, can't find a result, and then these people come to us. Now, as these people start practicing yoga, there are changes which take place in mindset. But mind you, it takes a long time. One can't quickly withdraw medication
Yes.
when you start practicing yoga. It has to be a very slow process. As you start practicing yoga, firstly, your physical health improves. Today, most of the youngsters are sitting in one place and doing their work, or all their social activity is limited to either eating outside, drinking outside, or partying outside. There
Yes.
is practically no physical movement which takes place. Now, in a yoga class, as this movement starts, only firstly 50% improvement in their physical and mental health takes place. So, that part of the improvement is very easy. Quickly, you will see a difference. In 3, 4 months, they are much more cheerful. On their face, we see a difference. Now, the next 50% is the really more complicated part. That calls for patience. It calls for keeping on with your yoga practice, enjoying what you get, making time for that yoga practice, even when you're feeling well. See, when somebody is very ill, it's very easy to get them into yoga because they are looking for a solution.
Yes.
When somebody starts feeling well, the first thing they discard is yoga. And finally, it's a practice. So if you stop practicing, the benefits are going to stop. As long as you keep practicing, those benefits will keep flowing. So this next 50% of relief which has to happen will only happen when the practitioner keeps practicing, keeps developing that awareness. And then some of the people are able to recover completely also. But giving up in between is very hazardous. Now, versus this is a story of therapy that you already, the youngster is ill, and then we are, through yoga trying to mitigate whatever is happening to that person. Then we have a whole set of, children born to mothers who are practicing yoga. And since we have been training for the last 35, almost 40 years now, these children also, we have seen them from a very young age grow up. Their ability to cope with life is much better. Inherently, you find those children are much more peaceful, much more contented, they are more focused. Even if they do face hurdles, not that they don't, but they have an anchor. They do go back to yoga more easily. And I see that there is a very big difference in the mental health of children of mothers who have practiced prenatal yoga with us,
Okay.
or in the yoga household versus young adults coming. And the mother sending the child to class and saying, Isko thoda yoga sikha do. So when she has no connection with yoga, that doesn't help. Yes, so these prenatal mothers, when they come to us, um, they come expecting that we will teach them stretches, asanas. So we do teach gentle stretches. We teach a lot of breathing practices. Very importantly, we teach the mother to connect with the child, to speak with the child. There is a lot of guidance given on what you will speak to the child, how you will influence the child positively when the child is in the womb. So this whole story of Abhimanyu and the Chakravyuha,
Yes.
which is so true because the child does respond. After the child is born, we find mothers telling us that, oh, this particular mantra, my child responds very well. Why? Because when the child was in the womb, the mother has been chanting that mantra every day. So, what kind of films she will see, what kind of books she will read, how she will eat her food, what positive emotion should be associated with her daily life, with her ingestion of food. Guidance is given on all these aspects. And this is actually a part of Garbha Sanskar that we do.
Okay.
Yes, the mother's health is very important in our prenatal class. The idea is that she should have a normal labor and delivery of the child. But along with that, the mental health of the child, that is also is something that we focus on quite a bit. So some neuro yoga practices to make the child intelligent, asking the mother what kind of input she is giving the child, sharing things that she can do with the child. All that together creates a very holistic program for the pregnant mother. Yes, so normally yoga is started from the age of 8 years.
Okay.
Okay, I have had requests even before that age. Take children of 2 years, 3 years. At that time, the child is already connected with divinity very nicely.
Yes.
Don't need to do much more than provide a good home environment for that child.
Right.
At the age of 8, bones are also built a little stronger. The child is ready to receive messages, and that is the time that the child also starts facing conflicts in life. So 7 to 8 years is a good time to start yoga and then build that as a regular practice. The way the child goes to school and he or she knows that there is no option. I have to study. That way, that aspect of there is no option. I have to do yoga. See, actually today getting distracted by social media, things around, it's a very natural thing.
Yes.
The child also needs to experiment with some of that, come back, have that exposure because that is the world today.
Yes.
But getting the child to be able to deal with all that because each of these interfaces bring their own stresses.
True.
So allowing the child to deal with that and letting the child see that that is not reality. That's a virtual world. Your reality is something else, and that in that reality, this virtual world doesn't matter. Um, a reinforcement of that, and that happens a lot in our yoga classes also, because what happens is the classes are not only about yogasanas and pranayam and meditation. Every class we share a small snippet which is related to life, to lifestyle. And I find everyone, including the youngsters, they wait and they listen to what we have to say in those 5 minutes. And believe me that those 5 minutes make a world of difference to some people. It can influence very much about how you think, how you lead your life, how you deal with a particular challenging situation in your life. I've had a lot of cases where people have come back and said, you know, that slide you read that day and what you told us, it played a very big role when was encountering a particular kind of problem. And I could resolve that problem much better because I was able to manage equanimity of mind. So that aspect of yoga is also very, very important. Yes, actually, we have this quite commonly in our diabetes classes, in our joint pain classes, even when we conducted our thyroid workshop, because sometimes people come and tell us, oh my God, I have not done so much movement in a long time.
True.
And our first advice to all these people, I mean, all of us have some issue or the other with our health, but movement is very important. If you are ignoring that completely, then it doesn't help. So first is good amount of movement. If you go for a walk, brisk walking, climbing the stairs. I'm sorry to say this, you are a doctor, but many times doctors also discourage some kinds of movement, or the patient interprets it also wrongly. Somebody has knee pain, doctor says, oh, don't climb stairs. Now I find that these patients will not climb a single stair anywhere. Now that is further weakening your knees. Now little bit though you have to strengthen the muscles around. So
True.
when these people start doing these movements, it starts helping them in a big way. When they start feeling little better, they start listening to diet instructions also. Because they don't want to lose that feeling of wellness that they have got with that movement. So then the tendency to follow the diet is a little better. See, finally, it's the mind. You can't get anybody to follow 100% diet. But even 20, 30, 40% change, it is a very big change.
Yes.
And Doctor, I'm glad you are talking about this because unfortunately, many doctors prescribe a medication and then they don't counsel the patient on all this. So the patient goes back saying, my sugar is still high. The doctor adds a second drug to the uh, medication. There is no emphasis on the actual dramatic change in lifestyle that the patient needs to make. So when slowly they are cajoled into doing that, they see the change within themselves. There is wellness within. Automatically, their urge to do these things increases. Even if they fall back once in a way, they go back to it and keep doing it. Important thing is firstly to stay 1 month with a yoga regimen. If you stay 1 month with a yoga regimen, chances that you will continue are much higher.
Certainly. Certainly. So, and this is precisely even belonging to the doctor community is this emphasis on 3.0 medicine, which talks about proactively working to prevent, individualize your treatment. So I believe in the next 5 to 10 years, the doctors will have to make a shift in their priority from prescription to helping spread health.
True, true. And
We have to be
prevention.
moving away from being prescribers to actively promote health. And the first subject is our own self.
And that is about prevention actually.
Yes,
And prevention is such a potent tool. If you use it well, you will not have to come to the point of so much prescription.
absolutely. Absolutely. So I think this is the reason why we wish that Similia clinics to integrate the yoga as a system of medicine, a philosophy of life, and a very potent tool to prevent these disorders from happening.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm so glad you're doing that, doctor, because I think very few medical professionals really strive to bring that prevention element into their medicine.
yes, because I
And
feel it's more probably easier for the system of the individual as well as me as a physician to help someone make a change in their lifestyle or make a change rather than prescribing relentlessly. And to an extent, of course, me being a homeopath is a very different dimension of the response to my medicine. But in lifestyle disorders, we do see that we keep on prescribing medication and we are not able to get the breakthrough that we are really looking for unless a lifestyle intervention is made.
yes, so as far as joint pain is concerned, see, another thing is many people feel if I have joint pain, I can't do yoga because it will aggravate the problem. That is not true because yoga has a lot of practices that can relieve your joint pain. First is oiling of your joints. So movement itself brings about oiling of your joints. Secondly, as you stretch each of your muscles, you are strengthening all those muscles around the joints. So even if the joints have become weaker, the muscles take the load of the joint. And that itself relieves joint pain to a great extent. Thirdly, breathing. As you do different breathing practices, pranayam practices, the oxygen supply to your muscles, it improves considerably. The free ion radicals, they are swept away, and overall joint health improves. Now, many times, joint health is not just a physical issue. It results due to stress, something is bothering me, even anxiety can cause back pain, it can cause severe shoulder pain. Now, as you do the relaxing practices, you do meditation, the whole calming effects of yoga, they take away these stresses. And very often we find that when the person is calmer, after a yoga class is when the pains are least. Why? Firstly, the person has stretched the joint. Secondly, the mind is very calm. Now that person goes out again, some stresses come again, those pains start appearing. So regularly practicing yoga, it brings about a lot of physical good joint health, strengthens the muscles, and it calms the mind and allows you to do away with those pains completely.
Yes. So a very important component of the disease complex, which is the mental health, again in autoimmune diseases, joint disorders get addressed through yoga. While we have discussed very comprehensively about quite a few disorders and disease conditions, I would like to know a little more about the Bihar school of yoga that you come from, because there are several schools of thought even in yoga. What is the unique part of this school of yoga?
Yes, so Bihar School of Yoga is what we all follow. Usha ma'am actually started following this Bihar School of Yoga, and we all followed in her footsteps. Uh, they are a very science based organization. So, a lot of research is done on different aspects of yoga. There are no irrational claims made. Practices are very holistic and they take you much deeper. So it's not only about flexing one muscle or a joint for an asana. It's about yoga as a lifestyle, living yoga moment to moment through your behavior, your actions, your asana practice, your breathing practice, meditation, your relaxation like yoga nidra, mantras. A lot of importance is given to mantras also. Now,
Okay.
many times people feel, oh, mantras are very religious practices. They are not. Mantras were created for the sound effects that they produce, not for the meanings they produce. Unfortunately, today they are interpreted differently. But when you chant a mantra, mantra itself can heal your mind. It can heal your body. So understanding that, and Bihar School of Yoga has done a lot of work on this science of mantras.
Okay.
Uh, so, how healing mantras or kirtans can be, that you understand when you visit the ashram. So, I visit the ashram almost once or twice a year, and the whole serenity of the ashram, the environment there, it is completely different, very sattvic. It's a healing journey that you undertake. It has bare minimum things, but it tells you that how living within the bare minimum can bring so much joy, happiness, and contentment within. You don't need luxury around. So I think Bihar School of Yoga has had a very profound influence on all our teachings, and I am truly grateful to our gurus, Swami Satyanand, Swami Niranjananand, who have literally for free brought all these books, these teachings, the deep understanding to our doorsteps.
And your organization, the Yummy Yoga Institute, tell us a little more about it. Where is it? What are the programs that you offer? So, you are based in Mumbai, so at least my patients in Mumbai can definitely take a direct offline help. And for the Ahmedabad patients, you do a lot of online thing like yoga. So please tell us a little more in detail about it.
Yeah, so Ami Yoga, we are a team of about 30 teachers, and we teach different online and offline classes. So totally we conduct about 22 different batches of yoga. Many times people feel, oh, online, I'm not given attention. How will I practice? But our teachers are now, over the last 5 years, trained very much to see the participant and correct the postures as well. So if a participant is doing something wrong, teacher will correct, will guide. So that is one big benefit of joining the online classes. Offline, of course, teachers are always there, and we have multiple teachers in a class depending on the complexity of health issues that participants come to us with. Sometimes we have one teacher dedicated to one participant when there is a complex issue which comes up. Besides that, we have some therapy classes also. We run a diabetes management program, alternate mornings, and their guidance is given about good dynamic asana practices, good stretching, relaxation of the mind, your diet, and our diabetes students now, many of them have been with us for the last 10 years, and but some of them came to us with an HbA1c of 12, 13. So I feel very proud to say that none of our students today have HbA1c which exceeds 7. If somebody goes to 7.2, then we struggle hard and get it down again. Not through medication, just through a little bit of change in yoga regimen and diet. So I feel that this has been a very successful program for us, the diabetes program. Then we also run a joint class, which is once a week, and then recordings are given so that the students can practice those
Right.
practices again and again to just loosen up their joints. And the pain index improves substantially with these joint classes. Besides that, we conduct a lot of workshops. So we have workshops on pranayam, meditation, mudras, chakras, stress management, joint management, neuro yoga for people who need more focus, concentration, and of course the prenatal batches that we run as well. So we try and attend to different aspects of health that are required through these. And for a more immersive experience, now we have also started these yoga retreats, which we find are very beneficial to people because in a 1 hour class, you can give this much.
Yes.
But in a yoga retreat where people are with you for 2, 3, 4 days, over there being able to share the beauty of mantras, asanas, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, different kinds of discussions that we have in those forums. So that also we find is very, very beneficial to participants.
Yes. So this has been a very interesting and a very enlightening discussion for me. And I must also vouch because I have been a participant of one of your programs, and I also had my apprehensions doing a digital online work. I said, I don't know, I'm not too sure how much closely one will be able to monitor what's happening, but I found that a lot of attention is being paid to every individual participant. And it has been of big benefit to me for the past 6 months that I have been associated with your program.
That's
So,
great.
yes, I would continue on because yoga has been an area of interest, but we will have to stop it here and we will put the details in the video and in the bio below for everyone who wants to refer the website and all the details about it. So, last closing note from you, Meghaji, before we close the session.
Yes, so our Guru Swami Satyanand, he said yoga is going to become the culture of tomorrow. I feel that tomorrow has already arrived. Uh, Yoga is actually indispensable. Each person should practice. You may practice for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but making yoga a part of your life can bring about a world of difference in your own self and in your family. So, something very easy to be done, doesn't cost much. Why would you give up on such a nice instrument available in your
True,
hands?
true. So we all encourage you to embrace and move to Medicine 3.4. So see you all and do enjoy the video, share this video and do like the video. Thank you, Meghaji.